We've been talking about a number of things. We talked about fatherhood. We talked about quite a number of things. And this morning we want to talk about something that I think every man, well, women as well, but every man, young man per se, should think of at some point in their lives, and the earlier the better. We're talking about defining your life's purpose and, making the journey your personal journey. So defining your personal journey and your life's purpose and being able to stay on it and stay on that track. I know we've talked about planning at some point at the beginning of the year. We talk about all these things, but sometimes the truth of the matter is that as a man, there are some special responsibilities and honors that lie on you, and to be able to do that, you have to be intentional. Most of us do things as a matter of course. We are born, we grow up, we go to the schools our parents put us in. Sort of life happens, but there are other people who also plan their lives and shape where they want to go. So, Richmond.
Hi, everyone.
Did you start out wanting to be a banker?
Well, good morning to our listeners. Good question. Yes, I did. And way back in uni, that is when it began taking shape. So I remember on second year, first degree, University of Ghana, I had to spend about 3 months writing a 25-year strategic plan that was going to guide me to achieve not just that part of career, but even marriage, finance, academics.
And this is level 100.
Like this is level 100, yes. I think I remember I started level 100 second semester, and the document was ready second semester, level 200. And that has been a guide since then up to today. And God has been walking me through that path.
Did somebody put you up to it?
Not that I remember, but I think my temperament drew me towards reading books, listening to tapes, and watching people who spoke into my life somehow. And so it naturally occurred to me that, look, if I needed to do anything impactful, then my life needed to be intentionally driven. It needed to be thinking intensive, and it needed to be action oriented. And so these are the 3 main things that have guided me. And
you've got me reaching for my notebook.
Then the scripture in Habakkuk also was something that was very critical for my life. So I was also a Christian, at a very early age. And so wisdom from the word of God in Proverbs and the Psalms, and in Habakkuk when the Bible says, write the vision down, if only there is one. And then in Proverbs, when the Bible says that where there is no vision, the people perish. And so I went on a search for the vision. But then, vision is built out of purpose. So I first had to go through the discovery of purpose. And that crystallized my mission statement as a person. So that mission statement drew me to now putting into paper and ink in a binded document a strategic plan that guided me even to the point of proposing to my wife when I was convinced that she was the one. I had to set up a projector and pull a Bible, make a verse quote to her that this is the scripture on which I want to talk to you on this note, and I'm serious about it. And then I did a projector presentation and showed her 10 years out of the 25, walking her through one point after the other, saying that year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, this is where I'm going, and this is why I want you to marry me. This is what I found.
She didn't freak out.
She did. She did. She's not seen anything like that. Not proposing over a meal or a drink, but proposing over so serious.
A PowerPoint presentation.
So when I noticed she was a bit surprised, I paused and I didn't know her response. So I gave her 10 years out of the 25 and asked her to study it for 2 weeks and come back if she wants to join me on this path.
Which one?
She came after 3 days and said, look, you are too serious. I'm on board. We went on a 3-day journey together to get her to also put together her vision. And then we put the two together, and that guided even from day one the plan of our wedding and the capturing of our financial future. We did a lot of things I'll share later, and those things have guided us even in the investments we did, the kind of houses we have been able to build and things like that out of this strategic plan. It has guided us in raising our kids, And my first child is 6, Lady Adley. In our strategic plan and our mission statement, by age 10, she should be clear on her purpose and she
Oh
should
my
be presenting to her family. So that is how far God has brought us. And I think that if you want to be successful exceptionally and with a certain level of significance and conviction in your heart that brings fulfillment, then your life should be deliberate. My mom, yes, and my dad, yes, but I was 7 out of 5, the last out of 7. The last out of 7. And yeah, my big brothers and stuff had also been exposed to university and things like that. And so it came naturally that maybe the least you could do was to go to the university. But like I was saying, because I think that God has had a much more influence in my life, even more than my parents or my siblings. And so when I was doing well in school, I got into a company of people in the senior high that took me same to the university, and so I was doing well naturally. But I think that the single most effective influence on my life was getting to know God at a very early age, and that drew me to listening to and reading and watching things that caught my attention to making a certain level of significance. So again, I'll take you to back my foundational scripture, Habakkuk 2. And if you read that scripture, it says, verse 1, it says, I'll stand upon my watch and set upon the tower. Here is a prophet who is being given a certain formula to setting himself apart and being on top. And the first thing that God told him, in that exercise, in verse 2, he said, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision down. So this scripture has, as very simple as it sounds, all the way from that age, very tender age, it got me thinking that there should be a vision I must write down. There should be a vision I must write down. And so I have been on that search for some time. And I remember a day I read a book called The Power and Principles of Vision by Miles Monroe, late Dr. Miles Monroe. And that equally drew me to making very literal this vision that I set myself to do. So when I entered the university and I knew I was beginning the path towards realizing my dreams, then I saw it as a very serious point in my life now to crystallize it. And so I think that has been my greatest influence. And so I was reading and waiting on God and praying and wanting to know what it is I need to do. So my life now became like I was more interested in being a generational influence than just picking a book and a paper and being first in class and getting a job. So my mind was at another kind of thought process. And I think that was the difference maker in my life. So all the way from that time, I had many books that I was writing things, trying to capture things, until the second semester, as I mentioned, when I was able to put together that 25-year strategic plan that became the foundation of my life. And it didn't mean that everything worked per the timelines I gave, but I can assure you that it has taken me more than 25 years ahead of my generation in almost everything. And so sometimes it gives me speed. And this is what I'll tell every young person listening, that it is not just important to have speed in life. It is much more important to have direction. Because when you don't have direction and you even have speed, it may be a wrong journey you may be taken. So say you want to go to Axim and you're on your way to Tamale, but you don't know the road you are is taking to Tamale. You may be running at a very fast pace, but the danger is that the further you go at that space or a speed level, the more lost you get. And so direction is so key. And when you have direction, rather it gives you speed. So you see that you have mission and you'll be in motion. And when others are crumbling and looking for basic things. You might be thinking about higher things. So people will be looking at graduating the first class and just getting a job. You'll be thinking about owning those jobs and being an employer. When others are thinking about just looking at a lady and getting excited about how she looks so that you can be in bed with her at that tender age, you'll be looking at getting a life partner who can help you achieve your purpose in life. When others are looking at just buying things, buying the latest phone in town, financially trying to impress people and things, because you have a vision that drives you, you are thinking about putting something down that can be the financial support to drive your dream, with or without any parental support or any kind of help from anybody. When others get their first job and they are thinking about the normal routine of coming to work at 8 because everybody does, and doing what they have been asked to do, you can see yourself at the top of executive level and you are doing something beyond the normal person. You are the first to report and the last to leave. Why? Because you are looking for something more than your paycheck. And so it drives you to take intelligent decisions, and it makes you miles away ahead of your pack and your generation. And you don't look for immediate gains of things. You are looking for how to make a good name that becomes better than riches. So that, for example, I've not been here, I mean, on this program, I must say, but you see that the name has gone ahead, and maybe somebody says, okay, I know this gentleman, he's been doing this. So the point I'm making is that if you want your life to be more than just successful, but significantly successful, then it must be 1, intentionally driven, 2, thinking intensive, and 3, action oriented. It becomes your guide.
Please repeat that again.
It must be intentionally driven, it must be thinking intensive, and it must be action oriented. Why? Because when it's intentionally driven, like Jesus, when Jesus came, you know, in Isaiah, the prophet had already mentioned what Jesus was going to do. And so in Isaiah 61 to 64, they were trying to talk about what Jesus was going to do. Then when Jesus came in Luke or in Mark, in the gospel, when he entered the temple for the first time, he went straight into Isaiah and began to re-echo or rehash his mission statement. And so he said, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has anointed me to do. Then he began recounting those things, meaning that those were the things that guided his execution on earth. So at any point in time, there were times people even wanted to make him a king. But look, he had a blueprint of what exactly he was here for. And so he was following that, and that guided him. So what I'm saying is that for you to touch every aspect of your life in a much more significant way, you've got to take your life serious. And it is a principle in life across board. Anybody who wants to do a proper business, check any good business, they have a business plan. Anybody who wants to build any substantial organization, there's something they are running to. You see a mission statement in every serious organization. But why many people are working with families, with lives hanging around their necks, and they don't have mission statements because they think it doesn't matter. They don't have plans because they think that, oh, sometimes plans don't work the way you want. Well, but a plan is not a plan if it doesn't capture, if in case it doesn't happen this way. So what I'm saying is that life is intentional. And it is thinking intensive, meaning that at every point you've got to put your mind to work and be asking yourself, especially if you're a Christian, you have the mind of Christ, and you can have a certain wisdom that makes you do things in a different way, in a more excellent way. And the action part is when you wake up every day and your daily routine is a reflection of your future return. So every day you are on course, waking up to do something that has a lot to do with the bigger picture of your future. And I think that should be the cause that guides every aspect of everybody's life: financial, academic, marriage, relationship, spiritual, ministry, career, or any other aspect of anybody's life.
Richmond, thank you for that. But for any young person out there who wants to do what you did at level 100, or define their life's purpose, or what is it that encompasses that? What should they be thinking about, and what is that anyway?
Well, so 2 things I'll say that becomes like a preamble to the thoughts I'll share on anybody who would want to go on the path of being deliberate about their life. One is that is how life is supposed to be. Any significant life. I think Harvard has some statistic that says that the people who are controlling about 90% of the wealth are the people who have captured their goals on paper. So it is something you must decide to do. It's a decision. And when you do that, you become a product of that decision instead of your circumstance.
Right.
So that you don't just beat about the bush and become a product of the circumstance you find yourself. So that's the first thing I'll say. The next thing I'll say is that just check. You see that even natural things in life go by this principle. So anybody who wants to build, for example, if you want to build any building that makes sense, you'll see that whether you've been to school or not, whether you have a good father or not, whether you have a good family background or not, you would first get the picture of your future on paper. So that you get an architect to say, I want this number of bedrooms, that capture on paper. Then you take that to the side before you begin raising the mortar and the bricks. So that is significant. And I'm saying that if we do that to normal buildings, you should be interested in doing that to your life, because your life is more significant. And when you miss that, it is scriptural. Wherever there is no vision, you are almost perishing. So it's an equation, nothing stops it. So check nations that are doing well. They are deliberately developing the nations. Check businesses that are doing well. It's deliberate. Check families. Anything that is going the path it must go is intentional. So you don't have any choice if you want to be significant. And to discover your purpose, I want to say that purpose is not supposed to be created. Purpose is supposed to be discovered. Why? Because purpose is like the intent of a thing. It's the reason for which anything exists. And usually, if you want to find it, you don't need to now go and be finding out what a phone is for. You just have to figure out who made the phone and why they made the phone, and then you can identify or uncover what it's for. Now, if you identify and understand it this way, you don't go about creating your own purpose because you've seen people go in a certain path in their life, and so you're excited by you want to do the same. And this is what I'll say: to discover your purpose, you've got to go through an exercise I teach many organizations and people I call SHAPE. Now, this SHAPE is something I picked from the Purpose Driven Life and Rick Warren, and it is an amazing principle where you can tell sometimes and almost all the time what something is for when you just take a closer look at how it looks like. And so you walk to my kitchen this morning and you see a ladle, others will call a ladle based on the school you went to, and you see a tablespoon, the smaller one, and if you notice that I'm using the ladle to stir a small cup of tea instead of the ladle, you'll be offended, or you think something else. Or you see me using a cutlass to try to use that to slice my bread instead of using a bread knife. I mean, they are all meant for cutting, but they are meant for specific cuttings. Just by looking at the shape, you can tell where each one belongs.
Right.
So the S simply means to just figure out and identify what gifts you have that are spiritual. Meaning the gifts you have that you know that it has nothing to do with your own abilities, that you think you have them naturally. God gave them to you. And if you are listening, have that headline in your book and begin to discover, what gifts do I have that are spiritual? Write them down, because it will lead you to the discovery of your purpose. And that is where we crystallize a mission statement. That is also purpose statement. The next thing is the H, which represents heart. And here, the heart is simply to identify things that make you move and do the things you do, not because of money, but because of the love you have for them. And Jesus said that where the heart of a man is, there is his treasure. Right. So what one thing would you like to do even if you were not paid to do? What one thing would you do if everybody was receiving the same salary? Would you still be working where you are working? Would you still be doing the things you are doing? Assuming the doctor and the banker and the singer were all receiving the same, what would you do? That means that your choice of that act is something that has to do with what you love to do, and not what other people are doing or what will give you more money. Right. So you identify those things, and it could be more than one. You move to the next, which is A, and the A is ability. The things you are able to do with little or no effort. So what are your abilities? So I always give this example that Cristiano Ronaldo, I mean, during this World Cup mode, is a gentleman who may not even have a doctorate degree in anything. But he discovers something that he has ability to do and something he loves to do. So watch him. He is only just chasing a leather ball filled with air with 10 other people on a turf on each side. And when he dribbles and enjoys himself, gets fun and loves to do that over and over again, and he shoots that thing and it enters 2 metal poles called goal posts. Ministers, presidents, bishops, evangelists, MPs, they get up on their feet in that moment. They shout "go" and money hits his pocket, and he can feed the thousands of people with that. So my point is that he has an ability. Many people can sow like my friend here, but they are sitting in the bank in a tie and they are not fulfilled. You've got to identify what you are able to. Many people can sing. Neo Kai, my friend, left banking and went full time into what he's able to do, and he's fulfilled. And that is more important than anything else in life. So I'm saying that identify what you're able to do, and it will be amazing what it will bring to you. The next one is P, and that is personality, as it describes. And personality here means you've got to identify your temperament. You've got to know your temperament. There are 4 basic temperaments in life. Everybody is made up of a minimum of 2. So it guides you to even choose your life partner. It guides you to help you to even choose a career. It guides you to take specific decisions because you know why you are made that way. So I use the examples of ex-President Rawlings and his temperament, and that of ex-President Mills or Kufuor. You see, they are wired for 2 different things, and their wiring tells you who they are. Go to the Bible, look at Paul's temperament and look at Peter's temperament. It guides you to know who they are. And so you've got to understand what you are made of. Say a story of a friend who walked to me as a protege, and she was telling me that, look, I have a guy I want to marry, but I'm changing my mind about him. I asked why. He said, it's nothing much, but anytime we go to the restaurant or any meeting and we are given, say, a drink or food or anything, even in the restaurant, immediately if it's water, they pour it in a glass. By the time they turn back to give mine, the guy has drank the water. If it is wine, we go to events, corporate events, they give you some wine for sipping over a period, talking over. Immediately they give him his. They turn around, his is gone. They go to the restaurant, he gets his food first. And just as the waiter or waitress is bringing hers, he's finished with his food. And the lady will say it's embarrassing for her.
No.
Now, she comes to me with this problem. And I sat her down and said, look, this guy is 11th out of 14 guys. That is his background. And when he was growing up, they never had the chance to even eat from a dining table. He said they were so challenged financially that they ate from one bowl. And as they're 11 out of 14, the food is put together and they are asked to eat. And from that tender age, he has learned to eat fast, hard and fast. Because if he doesn't, he can't eat and you sleep just like that on an empty stomach. She comes from a family of 2, 1 boy, 1 girl. Everybody has their plates. They eat from a dining table. So it doesn't matter how long it takes you to eat. Your food is still waiting for you.
Yeah.
Now, this gentleman is over 32. You can't change it. That is his personality. So you've got to understand that personality, and it helps you to know who you are dealing with, and it helps you to make specific choices in life. And the final one is experience. The things you have experienced in life make you behave the way you do. So some people never have had the experience of a father and a mother living together in a married home where a father kisses a mother or hugs a wife and things like that. I was telling some people yesterday that many people that I was training, I said, many of you guys here, if I pick your tie right now and I untie it, some of you may find it very difficult to tie it. Why? Because the schools you went to, the experiences you had was that you were never taught how to tie knots. That is an experience. And so I'm saying that if you put all these things together after you have identified them, it will give you a trail of what will make you successful or what will make you fulfilled. And you crystallize that into a statement called a mission statement. So that is your personal mission statement. Just like you walk to any business, world-class business, and you see mission statement, core values. If it is good for a business that is built, it is same for your life. And Jesus had a mission statement. And check it in Isaiah. He read it. My mission statement as a person is to give direction and a sense of purpose to my generation via the sharing of knowledge and wisdom. So that guides me in all I do. So I wake up at dawn after going for a meeting throughout the night and come here and speak as if I have slept throughout the night. But that is what I do. That is what gives me success. That is what gives me fulfillment. You meet me in the bank as an investment banker and you realize that I'm all over the place trying to do something because I know that what I do hits the heart of realizing and giving people a certain level of direction in life. So when you do that, then now you move out of that level and now begin to capture a vision. The vision is how far do you want that purpose to go across generations and to impact them and to be a blessing to them. So purpose, you build vision out of that. And that vision is to say, assuming there was no limitation on what you can do, financial, geographical, whatever, How far would you want to use this purpose to touch lives? You write it down. And when you write it down, it is out of boundary. So I'll tell James Moore that, James, this suit you are doing, assuming you didn't have limitation with resources and you wanted to take it anywhere you want and you could, what picture do you see of James Moore's suit? And when he's able to capture that, you are seeing the invisible. Now, when you see the picture of the invisible, there is nothing impossible for you. It's difficult most of the time for people to sit down, spend time doing nothing but thinking and praying and asking God, getting their purpose crafted, building a vision out of that.
Because you can't see it.
You can't. And until you see the invisible, you will be a slave to the impossible. So if you get that vision, then now you break it down again into goals. So you see that you can now say 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, assuming there was no limitation, what do I want to achieve? When you get that on paper, then you come down to today. Where are you? Year 1. If I want to hit that 10-year goal on academics, if I'm here today and I want to be a PhD holder in this, and now I'm at SHS, I'm at first degree uni, what must I do? You begin to put that thing down. You begin to think through and program it so that you ask yourself, if I don't have the financial wherewithal to do, what must I do to get it so that I can move to that level? You answer those questions. You crystallize into daily goals and objectives so that your daily routine determines that future return. And I'm saying this is a whole exercise. And anybody who sets himself to it with diligence, hard work, with a lot of diligence, with a lot of dedication, with a lot of commitment, with a certain passion to see you realizing something bigger than your paycheck, you'll be amazed how far it will take you. And anytime you are guided by that, you are always in motion, and you see that you are always ahead of many people. And when you share your life, you see that they will always say wow, but to you it will be nothing. Why? Because you have a picture of your goalposts. When you have a definite goalpost, you can tell a goal scored over the bar. But when you don't, any goal that any shot you make is a goal. And so you can even be clapping for yourself in complacency for mediocrity. You will just be a local champion. Meanwhile, you are a global icon. And I'm saying that for you to become like that, you've got to go through this exercise, as painful as it may be. Because anybody who wants to do anything significant sits down first and do what I'm talking about. And I'm saying that is what drove me to take life so serious at that early age, to even propose to my wife, because I thought that it doesn't matter how far I go. If I make a mistake with that, I can't do what I want to do.
Right.
So if I would sit down and go through interview for just a job, why shouldn't I be able to get my wife that will live for me forever? The first person I see when I wake up, the last person I see when I'm going to bed. Assuming that is a mistake, I'm dead. So then life is more serious than we take it. So that I don't sit over a table and over a thigh of a chicken and a juice, I say I love you just like that. And somebody says yes I do, and our life is hinged on that. You can't go far with anything like that. So guys, it sounds, this is too much, but that is what must be done if you want to be exceptional.
James, maybe before you come in, James, isn't it a matter of personality? And when you were doing your introductory statement earlier, you talked about the fact that maybe it's because of who you are, it's because of your personality. And I can imagine the writing down the vision, but I probably will live it by the day, because I'm spontaneous by nature. I'm fun. I'm that and that. Is this prescription meant for anybody despite your personality? Isn't it just some people who can afford to do what you're doing?
It is a prescription for anybody who wants to make significant progress, global influence. So you may not even have your personality may not support you to want to do it.
To draw a plan and to stick with it.
You've got to do it. And so even you are not wired to become like that, you've got to get help for somebody to help you.
Right.
It's not everybody who builds a business who set out to put together the business plan. But you see that they go for people who can put it together for them, and you see that they become successful. And I'm saying that there is no other way, because the Bible said, write that vision down and make it plain, so that he who sees it will run with it. So if you don't want to run, that's fine. But if you want to run with your life in a certain way, this is the procedure, as tough as it may sound. And I'm saying you will not build your house without a plan. why are you building your life much more important without a plan?
Right.
That is what he's sitting on as far as potential is concerned. And until he picks it up from that invisible state without limitation, he will never become it. Because when he sees it, you'll be amazed at his mind. Look, there are 7 things that will walk you there. Your mind, your body, the people you work with, time, money, and things that we can run into. That immediately you pick it, those things can be wired to work you towards it. So, for example, let's take finance. That he sees this amazing picture, limitless. And then he's now coming to the reality set goals and he says, look, I need this kind of money to do it. Then his mind begins to think, what must I do? That is when he can see that there is venture capital, there is private equity, there is personal investments he has to take. And he can take this now. For example, I can say if he needs $1 million, in the next 10 years, I can put his contribution into a simulation. And I can say that 25 Ghana cedis every single week, if he can, into an investment instrument that's about 25% a year, would generate him $1 million in 10 years. So in 10 years, if he was looking forward to taking his business to Dubai, taking his business to New York, taking his business to Rwanda, that support can happen. But he would have seen it early, and in 10 years he'll be living that dream. But until he sees it, you think that it's never exists, and even it will be so difficult to think that, where do I get help to do? You'll be amazed that it will bring you into contact with people. Because you then know that I need to know some people. And when you see people, you can know I need this guy because of where I'm going. So it even drives you towards the kind of people you listen to, the kind of people you fellowship with, the kind of people you have meetings with. And you'll be amazed how that helps you to become who you want to become. So you pick a mentor, you pick a protege, and then you pick colleagues in this 3-level kind of relationship that will guide you to become what you need to become. And then even the other thing, the time, how you manage your time and do the things you do. So that is the difference between those who are making it and those who are not making it. That is the difference between those who are succeeding significantly. Not to say I have a job now, I have a house, I have a wife and kids. Oh, I'm okay. I have every month. I don't struggle. That is mediocrity. Jesus said, "You are the light of the world, not the light." You see, not the light of, say, Achirensia or Accra or Kaneshi. Well, means that you have a global potential. And until you go this path, you just be walking around and just dragging your feet.
Thank you so much. I'm hoping that a lot of the young guys listening to us are picking a lot, because I definitely am putting down serious notes.
Let me share with you one very practical example. I mean, if you go this path. So, for example, 7 years ago when we were getting married, because we had captured our financial plan on paper, we saw the need, saying, okay, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do. So just one bit of it. When we were planning our wedding, we saw that our wedding will bring about 1,000 people or more. And that is a great market of people. Now, in the plan, we know where money hides. Money hides in people, money hides in problems, money hides in pockets or purses. So when I see a gathering of people, I should be able to put together a solution that is in the problem that is common to those people, so that money will move from their pockets into mine, and that supports my financial agenda or future. So if I'm having 1,000 people that I'll never meet in life for my wedding, maybe until death or something, that I may not see, the people who organize the funeral will get them. Not even at a naming ceremony.
You won't get that much.
Where do I get this opportunity? So it occurs to me because I have a plan that this is an opportunity of a lifetime. So we said, where are our talents and our abilities? What can we do to solve a problem that will make them buy into our future? We said, let's write a book. I had written the first then. I now have 5. So we launched the book at the wedding day called Don't Stop Here. And that book shared 15 keys to achieving whatever you want to achieve in life, in not stopping, finishing. Why? Because we saw that many people start things they don't finish. So if at that meeting I can give them a solution to finishing anything, they'll buy into it. So
you launched the book.
I launched the book, and when we did the exchange of vows, I picked the phone, spoke about it, that for 2 reasons they should take a good serious look at the book. One, the book is Don't Stop Here. It's a pledge to them that we will not stop in this journey we have started. So when they see it, it's a souvenir of promise from us to them. Number 2, it shares 15 keys that will help them to finish anything, marriage, courses, relationship, whatever. You should pick it, because many people start and don't finish. Politicians to the ordinary woman on the street. But we are not selling it. Give us a gift of 15 CDs or more. and pick one. You'll be surprised, Araba, that the books got finished. Some people paid 50, some people paid 100, some said, give me 2, give me 3. And when we were done, the money that came out was the seed money that was going into our financing of our first home 3 years after marriage. And my wife, as an architect, drew the plan. And on our plan, that home was not for us to stay in. It was for us to use as a rent, sort of, to build other houses that was going to support our financial future as a family. I'm saying that if you have not intentionally driven your life, you will just be sitting about writing about the expenses on that day and how you can impress people when you leave, and nothing significant happens to you. Wow. That is how life's supposed to be seen.
So let's come back to the content of that plan. I mean, you helped us earlier with how to define the purpose, and what I came out of that with was the fact that you find your purpose, you discover it, you don't create it, and once you've done that, you can define it properly or put it down by looking at the shape, which is the spiritual gifts, your heart, the things that you're passionate about, the abilities, things that come easily to you, your personalities, and the experiences you've had. So what should be the component of that plan? What goes into it? What went into your 25-year plan?
Okay, so practically, we are after you are very clear, and it will be a back and forth exercise with some help of maybe a mentor or somebody who can help you crystallize your mission statement, and it may keep changing or getting better. Your purpose statement will keep changing or becoming much better with time. So when you start, you see that you can write down a statement, and when you give it to somebody to take a look at it, you see probably it's just skewed towards one area, say maybe one continent or maybe one country, and it expands. So I'm saying that you don't be worried if you start working on your purpose statement through the style we have given, and it doesn't come out to be the best from day one, but you keep refining it gets better. So when you are done with that, you are certain, you see that you always wake up to something, and it even will be the thing that wakes you up every now and then. So from there, you now go into the vision statement. And I'm saying that vision statement is assuming you had no limitation. How far would you want that purpose statement to be of an influence or an impact to generations or people? So that is something big, and you don't have to have it for, you can start with 10 years, you can start with 20 years, you can start with 5 years. Write it as broad as that, one statement. Then from there, you have pillars of that statement. Those pillars depends on your life and what you want to do. You can have finance as one arm. You can have academics as another. You can have marriage, relationships as another. You can have social as another. You can have health as another. You can have ministry, career. So it depends on you. What pillars do you want to build to guide that vision you are putting together, that document you are putting together? So these are columns. If we are building, you've got to set your own columns based on how far you want to go. So you can put academics, for example, and career into one. And now when you pick that as an item, you ask yourself, how far do I want to get as far as this is concerned? And how would it influence my purpose and vision? So if it doesn't have any relevance with your purpose and vision, you don't necessarily have to stretch it into, say, 10 years. But if it has, then you do. Now, when I say academics / say professional development, it doesn't have to mean you have to get to the highest peak and get the highest degree. Not necessarily. Because professional development or personal development may mean that looking at where you want to go in the next 10 years, every year you've got to read this number of books in these areas. Every year you've got to attend these kind of meetings in these areas. Every year you've got to identify people who can impact to you in these areas. So academic and professional development can be both hard and soft. And the hard is when you say that, look, I want to become a professional in, say, accountancy. It means the highest I have to charter. How many years do I want to do that? Is it in the 10 years, in the 5, in the 2? You build it from day one, from there. And you say year 1. So under that pillar, what do I want to achieve in year 1? You write it down. Year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6. Then after you are done, so that is the goal setting part. You come to the goal getting part. Many people just set them. They don't think about how to get them. So you pick that column or that pillar. You describe the highest you want to get to with the number of years. You break it down from year 1 to that period. And then you ask yourself, if I pick year 1 under, say, academics, what must I do to get it? What must I do to get it in a year? What must I do to get it in 6 months? Then you begin to ask yourself, what would be required of me to get it? And the answers you get would help you to realize them. Now, when you are done with that, you translate it into daily routines. So don't just hurriedly write it and move. No. Only on just academics, as I said, for example, as an example, you've got to make sure that you translate it into your daily routine. So daily, what would I do to set me on the path of getting this dream? And you ask again, assuming things don't go out this way for this year, what else can I do to still make it in the next year? You've got to answer it, because it is never a plan until you figured out a plan B or a plan C or a plan D, so that you are never discouraged by whether it worked or it didn't work. You are just going after a goal. If you are going to Tamale and along the line there's traffic, along the line the car breaks down and you have to still be there, you don't say you won't go again because the car is broken down. You know you have to be in Tamale tomorrow. So the car may break down. You may even be at the station looking for a car and never getting. Or you may be there and you see other people getting car easily to say Navrongo. The fact that the other people going to Navrongo are getting car easily would not mean you should join their car, because you're not going where they are going. So it gives you tenacity and consistency and a to-do spirit, and sometimes even patience to wait. That's why Abog said, wait for it, though it may tarry. So it helps you to not just set the goal, but to get the goal. And then from there, finally, you work with time, you work with brain, you work with money, you work with people, and you work on body. You work on these two things for every goal. You work on time, meaning that you've got to take time serious as far as realizing your goals are concerned, because time is perishable. And if you miss what you said you're going to do because of an attitude or because of some laziness or because of getting tired and you don't do it, you are losing the opportunity of being younger. So I tell my wife all the time that anytime it's her birthday or anything, I tell her that, look, we just lost an opportunity of being younger by a year. That means that we've got to sit up, so that you look at time in that perspective, because it's perishable. Number 2, people. To get your goals, you cannot achieve any significant goal single-handedly. If it's something you can achieve alone, then you call it a dream. It's not. It's just a wish list you wrote down. So it might be so huge that you need people. And here, I will set God apart and the people. You need God, if you are listening to me. I may sound biased as a Christian, but that is a fact. You need God. How can a young man make his way prosperous? David describes. You've got to take God serious. When you do, you become wise and you do many things. So that is important. You set God on that part. Then the people, you've got to get mentors. There are people who have gone the path you have gone to. You've got to identify. Go on a search for them, so that you don't reinvent the wheel. Because Solomon said, really, there's nothing new under the sun. You may be amazed that there's a young man in Dubai who probably did 50 years. I have just done 25. So there's nothing new. Just go and search. I believe that people like Reverend Dr. Otabel and Co. have built what they've built, not because they just woke up to it. They've built what they've built because they did it intentionally. And they thought through it all the time, and they acted on them. Simple as. So the people are important. Your mentor, the mentor side, and you don't need to meet them physically. Today you can meet them digitally. Today you can meet them by reading their books, listening to their tapes, following them, and you can pick something from them. That will make the journey much shorter and easier. Then you've got to get colleagues and the people. There are some people who don't think like you do. And you see, sometimes even your temperament is like that. You know this is what I need to do, but temperamentally I am unable to do. So you've got to get colleagues who are the opposite of you, so they will challenge you to become. I have a good friend, a good friend all the way back on campus, and we think alike. When I do 25, he will do 50. When I do this, he will do that. We are going different paths, but anytime I see him, it's like an iron is sharpening an iron, and I'm encouraged. So if you don't have colleagues, and here, be careful even who you marry. So significant. Don't marry just because of looks. Marry inside out. Don't marry outside in. Look for values. Look for things that have a lot to do with where you are going, so that that person can wrap up on you and make you better You think alike, you are encouraged to achieve it, and you can share ideas all the time. Then the last part on people, your proteges. You've got to have people who look up on you. So it becomes a challenge all the time. You can't fail because they are looking up to you. There should be people you are bringing, either in your family or outside your family, who depend on you to become. So you will feel a weight anytime you wake up that, look, I can't fail on this goal. Why? Because I need to report to them on how far I've come. So that this people's side will work. The next one is your brain. You've got to work on your brain if you want to get your goals. And here, I can say that the brain is made of about 20 million cells. And these cells, I'm told, produce a number of ideas. You've got to work on your brain. You've got to work on your brain. And here, I must share that we are in a time where mind power is ruling influence more than manpower.
Yeah.
So you've got to sharpen your brain. You've got to read books. You've got to attend conferences. You've got to do so many things. You don't need to buy. Now it's all available on Google and things like that. That is easy on the phone you have. The phone you have is more than university. Don't just use it to WhatsApp. Pick things that will make you better. And I'm saying that it makes you a better person in terms of your thinking, your mindset, your attitude. And that is what controls you. I may be tiny sitting here,
very
but
tiny.
you'll be amazed that I will still not earn less than the huge guy who drives me because of his size.
Yeah.
I'm receiving more because of my mind, not because of my manpower. And I'm saying that work on your brain. The next thing is your body. You've got to work on your body. The way you eat, what you eat, the exercises you do, and things like that, because you need the body to drive the vision.
Right.
And many people are not intentional about that. To get your goals, you've got to work on your body. I had to be in a meeting all the night, and because I'd worked on this body to stay sometimes all throughout the night, I could still come and deliver on what I need to do because I've got to work on the body. So you can go extra miles physically in the things you do. Then the last one is money. Money is critical, and many people may not have answers to getting their goals because they don't have a control of a certain understanding of money. Look, there is no school that teaches money skills. But it doesn't matter how far you go. If you don't understand money, you will still not be able to get your goals because everything is underwritten by a certain amount of money. So you've got to understand how to make it one. You've got to understand how to manage it two, and you've got to understand how to multiply it. That is the wisdom in money. You've got to understand how to make it one. You've got to understand how to manage it. And here I always say man age. Money comes to people who are of age. They are men of age. So you have to manage it, and then you multiply. Now, making has to do with connecting your talents and your abilities to the problems of society and the world, and creating products out of them so that society will pay you for them, because money is a currency. It moves from one point to the other, but it will only move when it is a response to a solution. And the greater the solution, the greater the reward. So that is how you make money. You intentionally do it. So the example I gave, it was intentional. The people who get money coming to them, they don't get it just from the skies. They don't get it on the trees. They don't just get lucky one day. There are few people like that. Even if you get it mistakenly and you don't know how to manage it, where you distinguish between your expenses that are assets and those that are liabilities as a young man, you spend on things that will pay you, not things that will just take money from you. So you should know that 80% of your expenses should bring you more every month, so that you can support your vision. And then 20% can be on liabilities that you spend on. So when you check your finances, are you managing money? You can look at that by looking at the things you are spending on, whether they are assets or liabilities. So let me do an example. Young man, the phone you are using, at the end of every month, check the amount of money you spend on it and the amount of money that comes to you through it. And it will tell you whether it's an asset or a liability. So you know whether to spend on a new latest.
James, your phone is a liability.
That helps you to manage it. That helps you to manage it. You know what to spend on, and that. Then the last one is multiplying. And here, you've got to have an understanding of financial investments. You just have to understand it. Don't think that it's for some people. You have to understand how shares work. You have to understand how collective investment schemes work. You've got to just make an effort to understand multiplying money. It's investment. I can tell you that the world's top 10 richest people are there not because of their university certificate or family inheritance. They are there because, aside whatever they did, working for money, they learned how to let their money work for them also. So they built a multiple stream of income. And I'm saying that it doesn't matter what kind of work you are doing. If your source of income is just one, you will never be financially independent, because in the scripture, God even created a minimum of 4 streams. So if you are still living on one, you're actually a magician and you're an aspiring candidate for poverty. You can't be richer. Check nations that don't have several streams. Cocoa, gold, and the things that are our only streams. That is why we are where we are. Check the other nations that have several streams. They are up there and they are doing well. So as a person, to get your goals, you've got to understand how to multiply money. And I'm saying that you multiply by building a multiple stream. So you work for money, your money works for you. And to let your money work for you, you invest. Any young man listening to me who wants to be a millionaire and has 20 years ahead of them without hitting retirement age can become a millionaire if they decide to put aside 25 cedis every week consistently. If they can't, they can achieve 500,000 in 10 years by putting aside 20 cedis every week if they can. You are spending it anyway on your mobile phone. I did a simulation yesterday with a group of people, and I asked them, how many years have we all been using a phone? And when I checked averagely, everyone there had been using a mobile phone for the last 10 years. Then I did a simulation. How much have you been paying, whether you bought it or somebody bought it, averagely a month or a week? And they said averagely 10 a week. When I did that simulation into 10 years, each of them had invested not less than 782,200 into just their ears by talking. And they didn't have that in their bank accounts. So you've got to master the craft of money, and you'll be amazed what you can churn out in terms of investment to support you to achieve your goals. And that is amazing. Listen to what Warren Buffett said. He was interviewed on CNN, and he's 84 because he has enough wealth. When you look at him, he's younger than many young people working in Ghana. He was asked, what made you rich? He said, my understanding of money. Which part of money? He said, investment. And then they asked him, then you are lucky, you don't have any regret. He said, no, I have a regret. My greatest regret is that I didn't start this thing I'm talking about earlier. The guy proved again. At what age was that? He said at age 11.
So how early did he want to
The gentleman was crying. The one who was interviewing him started shedding tears. He said, have I said anything wrong? He said, no, I am 42. I don't have what you are saying. You are telling me that you started at age 11 and you are saying that was too late. You are insulting my intelligence. Then Warren said that 11 years could have taken him miles ahead of where he is now, because he could have changed his story. Today, he can sit down with Bill Gates and wire him 24 million cedis as a gift to a friend, and it doesn't hurt his purse. What am I saying? You don't need to be a banker. You don't need to work in tie and suit. You don't need to have a family inheritance to become financially independent. You've got to master the art of understanding money, and you'll be amazed whatever goal you have. Many people can achieve goals because when they look at the daunting task of money, they stop thinking. And they give themselves excuse, well, I can't do it. If you want to do this, I don't even have money. But I'm saying that you can. So these 5 things, if you master, they help you not just to set goals, but to get goals. And you wake up every day working to achieve your goals daily, on a daily basis, so that your daily routine will determine your future return.
Richmond, there was also a question about the uneducated people like Apostle Safo, Kojo Safo, and all that, and how that do you have to be educated in order to set goals and work towards them? And then somebody talked about the fact that they've been derailed. Their goals and stuff have been derailed with girls and other influences that have come at some point.
Right. So let me start with the last. Educated, yes, but school, not necessarily. So you don't need to have been to school, but you can be educated. And if you check on the people like Despite and people like Apostle Safo, as he's saying, and co, I mean, they even bet greater names I can mention who didn't go through the normal schooling system to any heights, but they get themselves educated, and they brought on board other people who can complement their shortcoming in terms of schooling and things like that. But if you follow the path, intentionally driven thinking, and things, you don't need school, you don't need certificate to do. And you can equally achieve same. Now, I mean, derailed by girls and things, that is okay. Now you know that there is a way out. But you see, until you get into action, you are merely a fan of your dream, and you don't get rewarded. And so what I would say is that immediately get back to putting down the foundational blocks you have shared, and you'll be amazed how far you can go. And the best time was to have known this 20 years ago, it didn't happen, you shouldn't kill yourself. The next
Right.
best time is today, right after this meeting.
Right. Resources for your goals?
Resources for your goals. Know how to make money, know how to manage it, know how to multiply it, as we shared. And get to know people who can influence you positively. And you'll be amazed how you can garner resources to help you achieve your